Hi, I'm Kevin Davis, and I hope you enjoy our webinar today on cyber threats out there for community associations. It's really right now a really important topic, and hope you enjoy it.
Now, Kevin, why are community associations even targets? What's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, think about the community association. They are made up of volunteers, just like you, Sherry. You live in a homeowner association, right? I
Yes.
mean, you're the person that gets grabbed in and say, "Come on, I want you to be on the board because you care about your association. Maybe you want to, increase the value of the association, or maybe you believe the association can use your expertise." The problem is that we just don't have that kind of cybersecurity training that really allows us to take take care of the data that we're entrusted to and the finances we're entrusted to. And that's really the main thing. I mean, just think about again, if you were that board president, you have access to the reserve account, the operating account. You have data, personally identifiable information on all the unit owners who live there and the people who come in and out of there. The vendors, the renters. So you have so much data in there, and with very, very little control.
hmm Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of data that they're gathering every single day. People moving in and out of the association, former homeowners' data, new homeowners' data, or that kind of a thing. I did want to take a second to mention that we record all of our webinars. And if you'd like a copy of today's recording and if you'd like the slides, please send me an email to sherry.branson@amwins.com.
Yeah. And one more thing I'm going to add to the why part about it. And I said it, that community association board members lack that knowledge and the experience. Okay. But they also don't understand the laws. There are certain laws out there that says if you have a cybersecurity incident, you have to report it in a timely fashion and outlines, the law outlines things you need to do. So there's a lot of responsibility on these board members and they have to be prepared and have to be ready. And right now, I would say most of them are not ready. They can easily be hacked, they can easily be targeted, and once they're targeted, they really lack the knowledge and skills to do what needs to be done.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's an ever-changing world in the tech world, the AI, et cetera. And, the top five cyber exposures for community associations, Kevin, the very first one is social engineering fraud. Can you explain what exactly is that?
Well, let's talk about all of them right now. We got five of them right now we're concerned about. We're concerned about social engineering fraud, data breaches, which was the original. Cyber was really created because of data breaches, ransom demands, vendor cyber risk. Because people don't understand that, they believe that just because my data goes to the management company, I don't have any exposure. But it's more deeper than that. And something I call insider threats, which is human error. Human error is a big problem out there. So when we talk about the top five exposures, they are the top five exposures. However, the number one, and you hit the nail on the head there, social engineering. Right now, it is just the easiest way to get data, to get money from individuals is by pretending to be somebody you're not. And that's what social engineering is. It's the ability to use deception, for me to pretend I am somebody and I tell you, it happens to me so often. All I do is
Oh,
put
yeah.
in the email or put in LinkedIn or someplace that I'm going on a
hmm
seminar or I'm doing a talk. And
Yep.
before I get there, my office gets a demand saying, "Hey, Kevin, how many gift cards do you want?" So it just
Right.
happens all the time.
Yeah, that happened when you were in Hawaii. Didn't it happen? You were in
Yes.
Hawaii and somebody
Yeah.
wanted gift cards or
Yeah.
they emailed you or something. And yeah, maybe they knew you were traveling. I don't know, and they
No, they
already,
knew. That's the whole
oh,
point.
they knew you were in
Well,
Hawaii.
yeah, yeah. I was
Thing.
on
Oh,
LinkedIn. I'm doing a seminar in Hawaii.
yeah,
As
you
soon as I got to
posted.
Hawaii,
Yeah.
they
hmm
pretended they were me, called up
Right,
my
right.
office and said, "Oh, I just landed in Hawaii. Give me the gift cards." Um,
Wow. Isn't
yeah.
that, yeah, they're very bold, very, very bold. It's unbelievable.
But that's
Yeah.
the whole point. They pose as somebody who's trusted, somebody who you know very, very well. And it's either in writing or a phone call, an email, text message. And all you do is say, "Hey, here I am right now. I'm still waiting for that money you sent.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
overdue." Um,
Yeah.
and what they want to do these fourth thing, they want to either get you to transfer funds,
hmm
disclose your login information. They want you to
hmm
click on some malware or download something. That's all they want to do. And then once they get into your system, they're looking at it. So all of a sudden, when you download, some malware, and once you go into your banking system, they're inside your bank. It's like they just walked up to your local bank and say, "I am Sherry Branson. Give me the reserve account, give me the operating account." So,
Hmm.
and all they want to do is trick you into giving you that information.
Hmm. Kevin, it's interesting. On the news, I just saw something on the news recently in Oklahoma where a property manager started receiving text messages and she thought they were legitimate. So started making transfers, financial transfers of the reserve accounts for various associations. I think it was something like, let's see, was it 30 of them? I think it was 30 associations. Anyway, they lost millions of dollars because she thought it was legitimate. And the FBI is investigating right now. So it's happening like that was just last month in September in Oklahoma. So it's happening
Yeah,
everywhere.
and here's the key. When you hear the words, "Here's my new bank and new routing number," that's legitimately, you got to question that because, I have the same bank and routing I had forever,
Right, me
so
too. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, how often do you change that?
yeah,
Very
yeah.
rarely. Yeah.
And if you do change this, pick up the phone and call that individual up and say, "Wait a minute, do you have new bank and routing number?" Now,
Right.
don't call the number up that's on that email. Don't call the number
Right.
that's on
Right.
that. Call them. And the
Right.
problem is that, again, as property managers and board members, we're just so busy these days that it's hard for us to take that time and to do that. So that's the reason why social engineering is such a big problem because it's really based on trust. That we trust the
Hmm.
person who's giving us that email or that phone call or that text message.
Hmm. And it's great advice, Kevin, though, to take that extra minute and just make the phone call. Call the vendor that you know, call the person that you know, as opposed to just responding to the email or to the text message. If it's a big thing like a routing number change or an account number change, that kind of a thing, it's absolutely worth checking out.
Mhm,
Hmm.
mhm. All right, let's go to number two. Number two, data breach losses. When we first created, well, we didn't create, when cyber insurance first created, it was really for data breaches. Data breach is using personal identifiable information that's either lost, stolen, or it's accidentally made public. And when that happens, is that they'll use that information to create their own Sherry Branson or own Kevin Davis with social security numbers, and they apply for bank loans, and that's the basis for it. You know,
Hmm.
um, and for community associations, it can be challenging because if this happens, so let's say personal identifiable information was made public by you, Sherry. Let's say you and I are on the board of directors of Happy Valley Condo Association.
Hmm.
And then you come in and say, "Kevin, guess what? I filed my tax return and somebody got there before me. I can't
Hmm.
believe it. Now I got to fill out all this paperwork and it's crazy right now. And I have to put a claim in to my homeowner association because, there's a data breach and I don't know what to do." And all of a sudden I say, "Well, guess what? I got the same letter from the IRS and it happened to me too." So that is a data breach. Now the question is, who's responsible for that data breach? Is it, the association? Did the management company take it? But right now, we have a problem. We have a data breach problem. Our association has a data breach problem. It happened to you, it happened to me. And always, we hear it one more time from one other person, but we don't have to. We know that our association has a problem. Our financial records were compromised. Our personal identifiable information was exposed. So the question is, when that happens, what do we do? Now, if you had insurance, you put your insurance on notice. But if you have no insurance, this is what you have to do in association. And there's like 7 areas you really have to be concerned about. The first one is the forensic examination. So right now, I said, "Sherry, you've been hacked. I've been hacked. And I believe that it's the property manager. But so we need a forensic examination to find out how did it happen. It could have been, a old past board member who got access to our information because, we never change our passcodes. We have the same passcodes we had for 10 years. So somebody could have been on the board 10 years ago. It could have been somebody's child or relative. So the forensic examination comes into play and they say, "Okay, guess what? You've been hacked, and this is the limitation of the hack." And then this is what happens next. So now all of a sudden you have direct financial losses from it. When you talk about data breaches, you talk about two things. You talk about actual loss of data or actual loss of funds. That data breach can cause, as a result, I lost my reserve account or the operating account is missing. Okay. So no matter
Mm.
which one it is, there is a data breach there. Now we have financial loss there, a loss of data, loss of funds. So now we have to start doing a recovery. The recovery is important. That means I need to get call centers. We need to just figure out all the next steps that have to be done to comply with the law. There's administrative things that need to be done. Now all of a sudden we have to notify all the people involved. It's just not you and I, Sherry. It's like, well, you only been living there for a couple of years now. You know,
Mm.
what if they
Mhm.
had? What if somebody was there lived 10 years ago, was on the board 10 years ago? We never changed our codes in there.
Mhm.
Um, Guess what? Now they only have your data, but they had the data of the person who lived there before you, the person who lived there before you. So we have to get
Mhm.
all those things up together.
Mhm.
Um, and the one area that we don't worry about as much as we should is reputational damages. Once something like this happened, the association now has a black mark against it. And
Mhm.
just like you
Mhm.
just read the situation happened,
Right.
you saw that now all the associations right now are having an issue because most of them don't have cyber coverage. Most managers don't have cyber coverage. Now you have all this money out there, and now from a reputational point of view, now the board have to go out there and say, guess what? We need to have special assessment done. We need to have all these situations. We need to fix these situations so that it doesn't happen again. But we have to rectify it. So you have to really fix the reputation, the harm that was done. And then you have
Mhm.
legal exposure. The legal exposure is, guess what? You're going to be sued after it
Going to be
happened.
sued by these homeowners. Yeah, the situation in Oklahoma, they lost millions of dollars.
Mhm.
Millions. Hmm.
And once you lose that money, guess what happens? It's just, you're talking about a major, major problem. And again,
Hmm.
it can happen in association, and it happened as simple as that. We had our board meeting. I found out, Sherry, you were hacked, Kevin's hacked, and all of a sudden we had to figure out what happens next. And if you have insurance, you're in good shape. If you don't have insurance, it can be very, very challenging. In fact,
Hmm.
I checked recently, I think it's like $270 per record or something like that. So it could be like $50,000, $60,000 for just a regular homeowner association with 100 units.
Hmm. It adds up quickly. That
Yep.
adds up quickly.
Mhm.
It can get very expensive,
Yeah.
extremely expensive.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
did want to mention regarding social engineering, Kevin, the endorsement to add $100,000 of the social engineering endorsement to the crime policy in New York State is only about $62, to get $100,000 worth of coverage. So that's not really that expensive for that much coverage.
That's true, and that's one of the issues we'll talk about later, is that people don't realize how inexpensive getting a cyber policy is,
Right,
considering what we're
exactly.
talking about right now. These
Right.
things happen. These
Hmm.
things happen to community association board members and a management company, and you have to have coverage.
It's not worth it to not have it if you do get hacked and you were just talking about the expense per record and per household, et cetera. I mean, it could get into the millions and for a few $100s a year, to have the protection, it doesn't make sense not to have it.
Yep. All right, number three,
Mhm.
ransomware.
Ransomware.
Ransomware, yeah,
Yeah.
that this is a
That's an
tough one.
interesting one. This is an
It,
interesting one.
yeah, this is tough, especially for
Hmm.
community associations because, and I
Yeah.
said, how does it work? The infiltration. Infiltration is the key. How they get inside your system to block it, to shut it down. And a lot of ways to do it. Number one, by social engineering. They will send
Hmm.
you an email. You click on the email, boom, they download in your system. Now everything is blocked. So
Hmm.
your whole system is compromised. You can't do anything. And now
Right.
for community associations, it's even more challenging because in community association, you have one server that does everything. It handles your
Hmm.
administration, it handles the front gates and the locks and your everything inside the building. Where most corporations have to have two servers. If you live in an apartment building or you're in a hotel, that one server is not going to handle your finances and also handle the front door and the gates and everything like that. But
Hmm.
what we do is have one server that does everything. And so once they get into that server, and again, it could be easy. It don't have to be a download software, a malware. You can go right to that community association. Say, well, guess what? I'm here from the home office. I'm here from management to check the server. Where's your server room at? Or I'm UPS, walk past the server room, go in there and put a little thumb drive in there and you're in the system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So once that system is compromised, guess what happened? You have a demand and you have a deadline. So you have what, 2 hour, you have 2 days, 2 hours, 24 minutes, 24 seconds to do it. Or guess what? We're going to destroy all the information, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
It's
it's sad.
scary how easy it is to do it.
Yes, yes.
Really, simple
But
email or like you said, a thumb drive, and that's it.
and to make it more easier, it is a business now. So when these things happen, like now you have a payment decision to make. Well, you have insurance. The insurance claims people know these people. They
Mm-hmm.
know them, and they'll go, okay, we will pay you your money in Bitcoin, and guess what? We'll give you the key to unlock it, give you your information back. Everything will
Mm-hmm.
be okay. So they
Mm-hmm.
know them, and they want to maintain a reputation of being able to do things dishonestly. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the stuff is done by foreign countries, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I remember in Los Angeles, there was the hospital, which was close to downtown LA. I think it was called Angel, Queen of Angels or something hospital or Lady of Angels. But the whole hospital, they were victims of ransomware and they basically locked up the whole computer system for all the patients and they demanded a ransom in Bitcoin. I remember they paid it. They
yeah.
paid the Bitcoin.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So if you are a association that has a server that has all that data, then you must have ransomware coverage because that's where your exposure is at. And again, as we said earlier, as a board of directors, you do not have cyber protection, cyber liability exposure. You don't understand it, the lack of understanding there. You're in charge of so much stuff. You do emails, okay? You do online banking, okay? There's
Hmm.
so many things that you have. You're dealing with the match company software that you're exposed to so many different things. And we mentioned it earlier, Sherry, before we got on, is that you're working from home now. So
Right,
working from
right. We were
home,
talking about that earlier.
yeah.
Exactly. There's so many during COVID, Kevin. Look at how many people started working 100% remote. Now you
Mhm.
have lots of hybrid workers, and some people just continued. They're
Yeah.
100% remote.
And,
So,
and
yeah.
you have your laptops and you have so much information there now that again you have to be aware of this ransomware. It is such a big deal right now, and the financial loss in there is in the millions. So
I would have to say that probably at least 2 or 3 times a week, I get a
yeah,
ransomware type email.
yeah,
It looks legitimate.
hmm
It's from either my bank, but not really my bank, or
hmm
from this, company or that company. And click on this link. They have an attachment they want me to click on, that kind of a thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, invoices, fake
hmm
invoices, all kinds of stuff.
hmm
Mhm.
Okay, number four, third party vendors. This is the one I like because community association board members work with a lot of different third party vendors, not just the management company, but the maintenance firms. They have IT firms, they have painters. So they work with a lot of different people. And the problem is that through social engineering, and social engineering happens so often and it's so easy. For example, one of the first claims I ever seen was that the maintenance people was hacked. And what they did, send out emails to all the clients and said, pay now to avoid late fees. Here's my new bank and routing number. And guess what
Oh,
happened? All the people started sending money in,
oh,
and that
yeah,
and
that was
that
that.
just created a nightmare. It created a
Yeah,
nightmare.
it is a nightmare.
So what happened, and the reason why third-party vendors is such a problem, because get as property managers, as board members, we trust these people. We trust
Hmm.
them. We think they have the knowledge and experience. So we get to say, guess what? We give you all our data
Right,
and we're walking away.
right,
Mm.
right.
So what we're seeing is vendor oversight, insufficient vendor oversight. So we think they have the knowledge and experience, but they don't.
But they
Okay?
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. The
They might not have the
contract.
protections that you have, the IT protections that your company, that
Mhm.
the property manager has. And yeah, if they're a tiny little mom and pop company, they might not have it.
But we make the assumption that they do. And that's the problem, Sherry. We make the assumption that they do. And
Mm-hmm.
then the worst part about it is that people don't understand is that when it's happened, what does the contract say? Does the
Mm-hmm.
contract say that, guess what? In the event of a cyber incident, we will take full responsibility? If they don't
Mm-hmm.
say it, then that management company can say, well, guess what? we don't have coverage or we don't know what's going on. We have to understand it. So right now, board members of community, so Happy Valley Community Association, it is your responsibility.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Mhm. And then I
Scary.
have something called the fourth party risk. That is some management companies sub out to other third party, other additional parties involved. So I give my information to the management company. The management company gives my information to another
Somebody
person.
else.
It may
Another
be
company.
a CPA. It may be, it may
Mm-hmm.
be a landscaper. It could be anybody. So,
Mm-hmm.
we trust the management company. The management company may know what they're doing, but then the management company give things to another party. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah, the
really,
data
really,
just keeps getting passed along and it's just more vulnerable every time it goes to a different company or it's available for other people to hack.
yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is this: board members, managers, you got to understand that the board of directors of community association have to have their own insurance for their own protection. Managed
Mm-hmm.
companies, you can say, well, guess what? We have a cyber policy to protect those individuals, but there'll be times where it's not your responsibility because you didn't do it. It was the landscaper who did it, or the painting contractor who did it. Okay, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe the
Mm-hmm.
CPA you were involved in, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
have the coverage. So by having an association have that coverage, um, you're making a big difference for yourself and making things a little bit easier for yourself too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And I did want to give out my email address one more time. If you'd like a copy of today's slides or the recording or both, just send me an email to sherry.branson@amwins.com. I'm happy to send you a copy of today's presentation. And now, Kevin, number 5 that we're going to talk about is insider threats. What are we talking about here?
Now, this is a tricky one, human error. I call this human error. We make mistakes because guess what? Again, like I said, we don't know enough about cybersecurity. We are home now. Okay, a lot of us working from home. I'm home right now, in my living room. And guess what? I use my personal cloud storage. I use personal emails.
Mhm.
I don't have unapproved apps in there. But guess what?
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
but we don't
That's
know. I
good.
mean, I don't know what's unapproved or what's approved,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
kind of the
true. Yeah.
problem.
Who does know? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Hmm.
because we get the new hottest app out there, and all of a sudden
Right.
we find out that it's what Russian backed or Ukrainian backed or
Right.
China
China
backed.
from China or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
And what
That's
happens
true.
once I download that thing, and then all of a sudden they have access to all the data on my computer, including who's late paying their assessments, who haven't paid their special assessment. I got all that data's in there, and as that data's in there, because I don't have that knowledge and experience, guess what? We can
Right.
get in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, just like the second line on the slide says board members are unfamiliar with cybersecurity.
Hmm.
They're not experts, IT experts, and they could download a couple of apps that could, cause ransomware to be downloaded on their laptop. You never know.
And also too, it can be even more tougher than that because we could have our board meeting right now, okay? And I can have somebody who come in and listen to me, or somebody who a dishonest person in my household. I don't have dishonest person in my household. Neither do you, Sherry. But there are people out there who have dishonest people in their household that will,
Hmm.
once you get off that computer, they'll go inside there and try to click and get access to that reserve account and operating account. You know,
Hmm.
and again,
Oh.
we don't change our passwords at all. So
Mm-mm.
again, 10 years ago, I could have, 10 years ago, I could have been a board member, and now all of a sudden I'm gone. I didn't like the way they mistreated me. And I can say, you know what? I should be paid anyway for all the work I've
Hmm.
done. And all of a sudden, I'm taking money. I'm through wire
Hmm.
transfer fraud, uh,
Hmm.
taking money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with, property managers working from home, working from different locations,
Mhm.
from a hotel when they're traveling, that kind of a thing. I mean, their computers are everywhere. And like you said, lots of people have access to them.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Human error. We forget to mention paper files too. You
Yeah,
know,
paper files, that's another big one. I,
yeah,
I just want to mention now that you're mentioning paper files, there was a situation in New York City of all places where an older, I think it was a co-op. They were cleaning out their basement and they had all these old file cabinets, paper files. and they had hired a company to help them clean it out. Well, they took the file cabinets and just put them on the sidewalk with all with to be picked up, I guess, by the, by the garbage man. And so that, all the fi paper files were just sitting there, and apparently some of them blew out, and they were all over the place. And that was, yeah, people aren't thinking, with paper files, but it's just as bad as hacking a computer, getting into the system.
And it's funny because you know how many associations out there who have cabinets full of paper files they didn't know what to do with, and
Right.
they get older and older and older,
They just
and
sit there,
eventually
for
you just dump
years.
them in a
Yeah.
dumpster or something like that. And
Right,
again, that's
right.
part of human error. That information is very, very valuable. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All
Okay,
right,
Evan.
cyber prevention strategies. This is my favorite part because if you can do these simple things, the likelihood of you being hacked is not as great as somebody who doesn't do it. It doesn't mean you're not getting hacked, but these are important. Number one, multi-factor authentication. Okay, right now historically we have one factor, and that is putting in ID and password. That's one factor. Multi-factor is adding another. Contacting by phone. Just say here's the code in your phone. Put that code in there. If you have multi-factor authentication, that is saving a lot. That is the number one area to stop a lot of the cyber theft from occurring. Right now, it
Mm-hmm.
is so important. If you don't have multi-factor authentication in anything you're doing involving money, call them immediately and say, I want it immediately. It's
Mm-hmm.
annoying because you hate to have your phone, put those codes in there,
You read my
and
mind. You read my mind, Kevin. It's like, oh no, now I've got my phone or my email, click on the email, put the code in,
yeah.
Yeah, it does slow things down, but
Mhm,
it's great. It's great to have.
mhm, yeah, yeah.
Better to
Number
be safe
two,
than sorry.
yep. Number
Hmm.
two, email security. Understand email security is important and we don't talk enough about it. When we talk about email security, it just watch the emails that you're getting. You get
Hmm.
emails that says click here.
Hmm.
Property managers, this is urgent.
Hmm.
Click now. Urgent.
Hmm.
I need to talk to you. And then
Hmm.
once you see the
Hmm.
word urgent, you panic and you click on something.
Right,
Watch
right,
out what you're doing with your emails.
right, right. Don't click. Think and call. Pick
Yeah,
up the phone.
yeah.
Hmm.
Just take a step back, take a deep breath first before you start clicking on things because once you click on it and go, oh, urgent, let me do something, that's where
Hmm.
all your social engineering comes into play. Social engineering comes in when you open up an email and you click
Hmm.
on it, and all of a sudden you have something in your system that you don't want to have.
There's a link there or a PDF to click on. Click on
Mhm,
this attachment.
mhm, mhm.
Hmm.
System updates and backups, you know, speak for themselves. Whenever you see these, please update your system, update them because what they found is something that can create a ransomware or a social engineering or create data breaches. So click on those things and fix and update your system. Some people
Hmm.
are still using old, outdated Microsoft systems, and those things are very vulnerable.
Hmm.
You can get access to those things easily.
Yeah,
Update your system and back it up.
there were big problems with that a few years ago with Microsoft.
Yeah. hmm
With a patch.
Financial verification procedures. This is the one that most people ignore. And they ignore it because they're just too busy. Financial verification procedure is just basically picking up the phone and saying, oh, I received your invoice. Is this you? Do you have a new bank and routing number? Okay. Do you want me to send you a check to a different location? Do you want me to wire you from a different number that you haven't given me before? Just verification. And make sure you have a procedure for these things. So you have a
Hmm.
procedure, you can follow it. Because again,
Hmm.
we're talking about communication board of directors who really don't have that background, cybersecurity background. So you don't know that if you get something that says we now want you to wire the money, we now want you to send a check, we now want you to do something differently, pick up the phone and call it. That's why what's going on.
Hmm. Hmm. When in doubt, call.
Yeah, that's it. Simple as
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Next one, vendor management. Okay. Understand your vendor, what's going on there. Understand what kind of contracts you have. We have mentioned before is what does a contract say if there's a cyber event?
Hmm.
Understand, ask them, is there a cyber event? Mr. Vendor, what happens? Most of them will say,
Right,
well, we don't know. Okay.
right.
What can you kind of look into it and have a procedure in place so that we know what to do just in case there is one? We expect a phone call at the minimum saying, guess what, you were hacked. Something you should do that says, we want to do something we need to do. So you have to do something. Next one, board education and resident communication. You got to do both. The board has to understand what cybersecurity means, and they have to communicate to the people who live there. Because right now, again, we are working from home. We have laptops. We have information on our laptops. We have information on our laptops that people want. And if we have a basic cybersecurity lesson, information, it can make that much easier, not only to the board members, but the people who live there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. The more education, the better.
Yeah. And that's what this is all about, really. When we talk about cyber prevention strategies, we're talking about educated and being informed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is more important than those things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awareness is really key.
Yeah,
Awareness.
yeah, yeah. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about some insurance stuff. Okay.
Okay.
So the question is, everything we talked about, does insurance cover it? And that's the key thing is that when we go back and we talk about things like the cost in terms of notifying people, the legal expenses, is all wrapped up in your cyber insurance policy. And basically, I call cyber insurance really four key areas. There's a lot of areas in cyber, but if you have these four areas covered, you should be okay. Cyber liability coverage. Cyber liability is exactly what it says. All of a sudden, I've been sued because I failed to monitor the situation. I failed to have cybersecurity background. I failed to have supervise the money. I failed to do something, and as a result, they want to hold me responsible. So that is your basic cyber liability coverage. Now, when you talk about liability coverage, that can be under other coverages, not just a cyber policy. But the cyber policy is different because cyber policy liability will pick up fines and penalties that's imposed by law. No other no other liability policy will pick up fines and penalties. The cyber policy will. That's why you need a cyber policy because at the end of the day, you can have fines and penalties imposed by the state because you did do something wrong. You weren't diligent enough. You didn't cross those T's, dot those I's, and it's your fault. So the city, the state may come back, feds may come back and say, guess what? As a result of your um, not, I want to say incompetence because of decisions you
Negligence,
made.
maybe
Diligent,
oversight,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
negligence or something like that.
Negligence.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to fine you. So that's the number one reason why cyber liability is more important than just liability from your GL or your D&O policy because it can be some there, but you need cyber liability. Cyber first party is all the things we talked about before. That is, okay, you have a forensic examination. Then you had call centers. You have the notification costs. You have all those minimum costs involved in there. And that was at $270 it costs per record kind of thing now, where it costs
Hmm.
$50,000, $60,000. Just your cyber first party coverage costs. That's what that's all about. The next one, crime insurance coverage. Now, if you have a good crime insurance policy, they will pick up all your cyber policy coverages. Okay. However, most people don't have adequate crime insurance that they're paying for under their policy, so you need a cyber. What do I mean by that? I mean, social engineering is excluded under many crime insurance policies. You don't have it. So if you do not have social engineering coverage, then you must have a cyber policy because, again, that is where most of your cyber loss is coming from social engineering. Another one is um, check forgery. Check forgery is another area that has become a big deal. It become a
Hmm.
big deal because, especially in community associations, because a lot of community association criminals have keys to the mailboxes. They open up the mailboxes and they take checks out of there, and they whitewash the checks, and that's the end. Um,
That's a big business right now. With actually an HOA in Florida, probably 6 months ago, all of the mail was stolen.
yeah. Mhm.
They stole
And
all the mail, all of it.
and what happens is that we don't do monthly bank reconciliation anymore. So we don't do, bank, we just don't do it,
No,
So checks
no.
get, yeah. So they check forge our checks and we never know about it until we get that phone call from the vendor saying, you never paid me. And we go, well, I paid you months ago. And
Hmm.
so these are kind of covers us under the crime insurance policy, part of the cyber. It should be part of your crime insurance policy in your package policy or your standard crime insurance policy, but many of them don't have it. Check and make sure you have a full crime insurance policy, including social engineering, wire fraud, computer theft coverage, um, counterfeit currency, all those different things should be in there. So you're talking about just crime insurance that picks up employee dishonesty and non-employee related coverages situations there. So,
Hmm.
and then the next one, ransomware. You got to have ransomware coverage. You got to
Hmm.
have those. Those are the coverage when you're looking at them. There's other coverage you can have also, but these are the main ones. This is the one going to get you in trouble in the long run. So,
Hmm. The most important ones.
yes, yes.
That's great. Fantastic. Great information.
I want to thank you for watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. For more information, go to our website at www.kdinsonline.com. Thank you very much.